food, shelter, and water. These are the fundamental human needs that one cannot survive without. And arguably, water is the most important out of them, a crucial component in achieving the rest. So it's not surprising, since the dawn of time, people and governments have tried to own and regulate this resource, with the goal of equitable access of this resource to each and every one of its citizens. Many nations have achieved this through nationalization. England chose privatization, letting the private sector solve the problem by using market principles, improve efficiency, extend the coverage of service, bring in more investment, and relieve governments from budget deficits. In the UK, pre-industrial revolution, water supply primarily was localized with every household relying on wells, local streams, and rainwater harvesting. But during its first industrial revolution in the 16th century, these methods quickly became inadequate. The growing urban populations in cities like London faced significant water scarcity and quality issues. The local government was unwilling to spend on public services, therefore, calling on the private sector, which proved to be successful. The water network improved and expanded to service a large and growing population. But by the 19th century, the legal right to own and sell this water was concentrated in the hands of a few water companies running unregulated rackets. These companies were reluctant to supply water to the poor. The rich had their own supplies, whereas the poor bought water from private vendors at high prices, about 2 shillings per week, and equivalent to their rent, or were getting it from dirty rivers and wells, which, as you can guess, gave rise to social and political unrest. Other factors, such as the newly discovered link between disease and unsanitary water consumption, the cholera outbreak of 1840s, which caused the death of over 53,000 people across England and Wales, and a social discussion of worker productivity, where social reformers such as Sir Edwin Chadwick's report on the sanitary conditions of the labouring populations of Great Britain highlighted the economic cost of public health. As a result, the government led nationalization of these companies with the Public Healthcare Act of 1848 increased public investment and taking over control from private operators. By the late 19th century, most urban areas had access to clean water, a monumental achievement at the time. But how did England, who owned all of its water, suddenly lose control over it? During the World War II, England began cutting funding to social services to fund the war effort, and this continued well until after the war, as the recovery from it caused the nation to struggle. This led to a neglected infrastructure and need for a large investment to clean and modernize the water and sanitation facilities. Coincidentally, the election of 1979 and the subsequent rise to power of Margaret Thatcher, who started campaigning for the rolling back of the British welfare state. Thatcher justified privatization of state owned firms as a means to raise revenue for the state, promote economic efficiency, introduce competition. This gets us to today. While Scotland and Northern Ireland's water supplies are publicly run, England carries forward Thatcher's legacy, with today only 9 companies owning the resource for over 57 million people. These companies own all the pipes, reservoirs, treatment plants, and so on that together make up the water and sewage system. To make these companies even more attractive to global capital, in 2002, the new Labour government decided to amend the licenses. These companies cannot lose licenses to a rival unless the government has given them at least 25 years' notice, essentially eliminating any competition and need for efficiency in the foreseeable future. Which gets us to the largest of these companies, Thames Water, who supply water to over a quarter of a nation and have an estimated yearly revenue of 2.2 billion British pounds. Despite this, Thames Water is in the news for struggling and having the largest debt pile in spite of an ever high water bill. This is because, to attract foreign investment, these water companies prioritize dividends and use debt payments to fund maintenance of its infrastructure. Since privatization in 1989, The customers' water bills have risen 40% adjusted to inflation and are paying £80 or 20% of their water bills towards servicing debt and rewarding shareholders. Until date, these companies yielded a dividend of £72 billion. So who's benefiting from the dividend yield of Thames Water? The public, of course. The public of Ontario, Canada. The biggest single shareholder. Other shares are owned by the Abu Dhabi Sovereign Wealth Fund and the China Sovereign Wealth Fund. Other large companies are no good either. At least 71% of them are owned by organizations from overseas, some completely by foreign private businesses. But this is not all, as due to a lack of oversight, water companies are becoming synonymous with corporate misconduct, with over 800 enforcement cases between them since 2010. Incidents of discharging raw sewage have risen from 12,000 in 2016 to over 372,000 last year, a 29-fold increase. Although this increase may be due to the increase in the number of monitoring sewage systems. Coldfusion's video on the privatization of California's water system inspired me to explore how other countries handle water privatization. In this video, I focused on exploring that of England. If you found this interesting, please like, share, and subscribe. It really helps support my work. Also, be sure to check out Coldfusion's video. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your support, and do comment down below any suggestions you got from me. Thank you.